Hey there. I'm in here somewhere. Anyway, I'm going to be planting these seeds. They're my 30-day test of Trident maples. The idea here is to get the seeds in a position where they break their dormancy sooner. Typically, to stratify these Trident maple seeds, we go between, it depends on the area you really come from, but it's said that you can stratify Trident maple seeds between 40 and 90 days. They should be good. But again, I live in Northwest Florida, and only once out of the 30-some years that I've had my tree in the ground have I gotten seedlings out of the ground beneath the tree. And that's because I do not typically get enough cold hours to stratify the seeds. I mean, some winters we get plenty of rain, copious amount of moisture. So the seeds that fall are nice and soaked, but they don't get the cold hours that they need to fully stratify. So on the year that I did get them, we had I can't really say how many cold hours, but generally speaking, around if you're above 100 cold hours in this area, then pretty much anything that we typically grow in this area is a whole lot better. In other words, my pear trees and peach trees and such, if I get that many amount of cold hours, I'm typically good. But a lot of times you need 900 cold hours and above, 1500 cold hours to get things to growing really nicely. But what I've done here also is I've taken and I've collected some of my Japanese green maple seeds, and right along with that, these are the Trident seeds. And this is a sample that I've taken out of other seeds that I still have in cold storage. And these are the Japanese green maple seeds. Okay, 30-day test. And the idea here is I put about 28 days, 27, 25 days of consistent cold time on this. And what I did was go in and flip this every week, every 2 weeks, to kind of move the moisture around. And what I did was place the seeds in the bag. You can see the seeds right there. And I added just a little moisture. There's no paper towels in there or anything. And if you can see, like right there, see the little white spot right there? Those are germinating seeds. Right here, right there. Okay, those are germinating seeds. So what I did was, at least after 25 days for me, what I did was started pulling this bag, this entire bag, out of the fridge. Okay, and I'd let it sit all day while I was out here piddling around, having my fun. And then in the evening time, I would put it back in the fridge overnight. And I did that for about 30 days. Okay, and these seeds started germinating about 2 or 3 days ago. So after 30 days, these Japanese green maple seeds were germinating. Okay, so basically it was close to 60 days because I needed to give it some serious cold hours first. Okay, and so my next experiment is to just straight put the seeds in the bag, and over a 30-day period, put it in the fridge, take it out of the fridge. I gave these almost a 30-day cold treatment first. I didn't pre-soak them in water or anything. I just put them in this bag, put the label on it, stuck it in the fridge, let it sit, but I would flip the bag over from one side to the other to kind of move the moisture around, and the movement would put fresh air in the bag, but the seeds were never let to dry out, okay? And like I said, now I have seeds that are germinating. Some of the seeds are germinating, and I can see the roots and the false leaves, but some of the seeds have not begun to germinate. So I'm going to plant them in the container here the best I can. Also, I'm going to plant these Trident maples. Though they're not showing any signs of germination, this is my experiment to see if I can get them to stratify with the process that I've used here, which is a 30-day cold treatment, and then start breaking them out as if the temperature in the day is rising and then the temperature at night falls in a normal winter setting. Here we are, the second day of December, and yesterday we hit our first freeze overnight. We got down to about 29 in this area. That's 29 degrees Fahrenheit on the 1st of December. Well, actually, that was the 30th of November. And then the 1st, we got down to about 31, 32, okay? And it only lasts for a little bit in this area, okay? So it's not like from 10 o'clock at night that it's 30, 32 degrees. Our freezing temperature normally hits us in the morning right after dawn, okay? So our lowest temperature will drop down once the cloud covers and everything burns off. We'll have a substantial drop for an hour or so. But typically, our temperature will drop down to about, well, over these last couple of nights, we've dropped down to about, we'll say, in the area of 30, and then right at sunrise it will drop down even lower for 1, 2, maybe 3 degrees, but that's just for a short period of time. So this is what I'm simulating when I'm putting this in and out of the fridge, the temperature fluctuation. The daytime temp right now, we're in the well, we'll say mid to upper 50s, okay? So this morning, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, we're in our high 40s and the 50s, low 50s. So it's not too bad. I can tolerate this being out here for, you know, half an hour or so, 45 minutes, somewhere in there. Then I have to go inside because I don't tolerate the cold too well. But anyway, stratifying the seeds, you can do that with different techniques, and there are many techniques, so you can work this out. If you live in the north, let's say anywhere north of Atlanta, okay, you're going to have substantial amount of cold for the most part, okay, and I'm talking north central to northeast. You're going to have enough cold, and you can probably just sow some seeds right outside somewhere in a, I would say, a treated area, you know, a area that you prepared, and you should be fine with that. But again, if you want to contain your seedlings in a, you know, a really controlled environment, then sow them in pots or flats, and you can still sit them outside or whatever, and with the winter moisture and the temperature, you can get that done. But if you got a greenhouse, then you can get further along on the process by stratifying your seeds early, getting your seedlings to start in the greenhouse. And of course, if you have a greenhouse situation, you have to know how to grow inside. You may need to treat for dampening off of your seedlings and fungal issues, and mildew issues, things like that. So you have to know how to grow inside if you're going to do that. But there are different opportunities, and that's why I'm doing this, to see, the various means that I can grow here. But again, part of my statement was, if you live north of Atlanta, then you're going to pretty much not really have to force your seeds. You can, but you don't really have to. It is not likely that I'm going to be able to just sow these seeds outside and they'll come up next season, because I don't get enough cold hours. That's what I was talking about earlier. I've got a prepared area across the way here, and I put seeds out last season and they still haven't come up. Okay, I've watered them, made sure the area is clean, away clear of weeds and such, but still no germination. Okay, so what do? I have to force my seeds to germinate. So here we go. And hopefully, if I can put this thing on pause a little bit later, I'll show you one of my, at least one of the growing areas where I've got some of the Trident maples growing. This is kind of the part of the year that I kind of like and dislike, a bit of ambivalence, if you will. I don't like the cold per se, but the cold knocks down the weeds here. I mean, we don't grow grass in Florida unless you're on a golf course. We grow weeds. That's our lawn, So anyway, I'm going to put these Trident maples out. And I have no idea of how many seeds are in here, but it doesn't really matter. And like I said, this is a sample that was taken out of a larger container with the Trident maple seeds. And these seeds, if you will, were cleaned. And what I mean by clean, all of the detritus was removed. Stems, the leaves and such. I didn't pull the wings off. That's too much like work. And I'm not doing this because I want to work. I'm doing it because I want to have fun and enjoy and share and learn stuff. Not too deep. And once I get it in there, a little pat to firm it down. And that's that. Okay. And again, 22 September, basically I started rotating this in and out. 22 October, and here we are. I've been rotating in and out since 22 October, and here we are on 2nd of December. I'm sowing these seeds. The Japanese green maples have begun sprouting. So I'm just going to take that I said I didn't have a paper towel in there. That wasn't completely accurate. I put that little piece in there to kind of wick away any excess moisture. So it helped, because that was pretty wet. But again, you don't want to have much moisture in there. And in fact, you could kind of pre-treat that with fungicide when you moisten your bag. So I'm just going to leave these right here, and I'll come back later on. Okay. Those are the Japanese green maples. Easy peasy, pretty as you please. I had another pot over here, but I didn't need that. And these are some of the bougainvilleas that I brought in. I've got more in another area. Plus I took some of my more precious bougainvilleas inside. These are the jade plants. I just have a lot of stuff in here. But anyway, also that's a flat that I just put together the other day. So we'll see how that works. Okay, I've just moved a little bit. Try to keep you from getting seasick with me walking like I normally do. But anyway, you can see some of these trunks on the Trident maples. And like I said, this is one of my favorite time of the year because now I get to see the trunks that I've been working on for these years and trying to grow these plants up so that I can use some of them. So this year I'm going to take some of these smaller ones out from the midst, and then of course some of the larger ones. Some I'll air layer as they're going, and some I'll leave. So there's going to be a thinning out, if you will, of this area. But I've got some nice trunks. Some I'll take and make groves out of them, and of course some of the tops I'll cut and try to get to root. And I'll be doing that between, again, it's December now, so between now and February, early February, I'll take these substantial trunks like that trunk right there, straight ahead. That's almost 4 inches at the base, and it has some reverse taper further up the trunk, so I can have some nice bases if I air layer that rather than trying to get it to root. Speaking of rooting, this is a rooted Naruto that I stuck in here to try to fatten up one little lonely Naruto in this bed of Tridents. But like I said, I get to see these trunks, and for me that's fun. It's enjoyment. Also to see the partial fruits of my labor. And I tried to select these trees right here as working trees for this season, but it just grew too fast for me, and I couldn't get in there. Again, the weeds also that I talk about just overwhelmed for a while, and so I couldn't get in there to actually work on these on the ground. But I've set up a place across the way that I'll be able to access all sides of the plants that I'll be working on. So that's something I'm looking forward to. And again, some nice trunks right here. And this is kind of out in the open now that I've rearranged some things around here and cleaned up a little bit. So I'll be able to access that. I'm going to show you the area I'm talking about, what I'll be doing. Okay, so here we go. See, I've laid down plastic here, and I'm going to, I guess you can say, I'm going to fully treat this area. In other words, I'm going to my compost pile. I'll move the plastic up, add my compost to it. I'll add the rhizome, and I did make myself fish fertilizer this year with lactobacillus, and so I'll use the fish fertilizer in conjunction with the lactobacillus to grow these plants in this area here. That's about a 20-foot stretch of area, probably 4 feet wide, and so I'll take those drain field culverts that I've cut down, and of course I'll plant my plants in these, and they'll act just like air root rooting pots. Okay, so they'll be the roots will be trimmed because I have the holes in the side of it, and there are slots in between the ridges also. You can see the big circular hoses, but they're slotted holes because these are drain field tubes to allow the moisture to come out. Okay, and that will just air trim on the roots, and so I'll get nice long roots with these in here. So I'll do this with elms also. So that's my little secret to you. If you want deep long roots, and you can see here I've got a container full of them right there. So between the Trident maples and the elms, I'll have a nice assortment. I'll also be doing my sarissas like this also. So I'll have a nice assortment of extended long roots to work with. So, alright, I'm going to show you some of the seedlings from last year's stratified seeds, and then we'll go on from there. Okay, you can see that over there, and there are other trays on the ground. Those are some of the seedlings from last season, and these are assortment of seedlings and cuttings in here of the Trident maples, and that's one of the large rooted cuttings that I took last year. I actually used that as part of a video, that, and you can see that one come in there, that right there also. Yep, that's part of that I used last year. That was an air layer that I immediately put an air layer on, and I think I put that air layer on back in June or July, something like that. But these are rooted cuttings that I took, and that was like August or September. So anyway, I wanted to show you some of the trunks here on this bed, which is a different bed of the Trident maples. This is what I call my first bed, or original bed. And I've taken a good amount of the seedlings out of here, and pretty much they were the ones that I mentioned earlier that had sown in the ground. It was an auto sow situation. But anyway, also I've got the elm tree growing in there, Chinese elm. You see that nice curved trunk. The trees are grabbing me. They don't want me to leave. They love me so much. So we got a bear running around in the neighborhood. That big old trunk. I'm going to have to figure out what my design is going to be on that and how much larger I want it to grow. But I'll be taking air layers off of this, and cuttings as I let that grow. So anyway, that's an 1.5 inch trunk right there, 1 3/4 inches, and coming along pretty good. I got a mixture of Trident maple and elms in here, and I dig the elms out, and then I dig even deeper and pull root pieces out, which I use for a long rooted elm styles. Okay, so and a lot of times I end up putting those on rocks or using it as an exposed root feature. I had a pear tree right there that was, you can see that stump right there, and the stump right there where you can see the cutting in, that's the good pear tree, and the up right there. But that stump, that big stump right there, that was a wild pear tree, and you can see some of the lumber right there. And I use those for monkey puzzles, monkey pads rather, and I make benches out of them too. It's like this big old piece here. I gotta trim and cut that top and put me a pad on the top. Plus I can use this as a work stand, so when I'm weeding, like right here, I can pull the pots up here and I don't have to bend over. But anyway, let me show you something else. This is a elm that I'm working on, Cascade on a rock. Has nice shape right now, nice form, and at any time now, between now and the middle of December, I'm going to have to pull that wire off. But it has nice form right now. Okay, and hold on again, and here we go. This is a Cascade elm that I'm working on, and this is going to be a large one. So I've been growing it in that pot for about 1.5 years, 2 years now, and I've got some movement in the upper part there, which is looking pretty nice to me. So that is the pear stump that I cut, log, and I just made this monkey pad to put this on here. It's close to the back door, so I can come here and work on this, because this is going to be one of my priority. This is going to be growing so fast that I have to wire it and unwire it. I have to move it and bend it every day. I'll bend it more and more until I get me a nicer bend in this area right here, coming over the edge of the pot. That's pretty thick, pretty large, and when it started growing out like that, I did not expect it, and I was busy, so it really got away from me farther than what I wanted. And once that armature became so long, I just let it continue to grow. And so I'm going to work with this and see what I come up with. But anyway, we're going to go and see the other seedlings of the Trident maples. Hold on. Okay, here we are approaching the Trident seedlings. Now these seedlings, I actually sowed these in the ground once I stratified the seeds. There's a little more right there. Those are Japanese red maples. And these seeds, as I said, I sowed in the ground once the seeds were stratified, and once they came up and had several sets of true leaves on them, I went in and dug them out, and as a matter of fact, they were planted in that area right there. beyond the green pot, beyond, but over there. And so I took my time and dug those out. It wasn't many because I was just basically using untreated area. I mean, I scraped the weeds back and this and that, but I didn't add any amendments to the soil. And I just threw the seeds down, covered them over a little, and let them run. So I think I pulled like 130 seedlings out of that one area. And you can just take my word for it. The direction we just came, which is right behind me to my left, which is that way behind me, I put some down there also, and that's about 50 feet behind me here. And so I got a good amount out of there, probably 40 or 50. And then again, I sowed directly into several trays with the seedlings, multiple seeds in one container, and then I went back in and divided those, so I had a lot more that way. But with that, I only had a handful of seeds, if you will. In other words, the little grocery store plastic bags, I probably had 2, maybe 3 of those that were like a quarter the way filled, you know, and I put in there peat moss and some perlite, moistened, treated it with fungicide, and so it wasn't full bags. But now I've got basically pounds of the seeds, because I'm going to do a whole lot more, because now I'm ready to do that. So anyway, I've got dreams to remember. I've got so many projects coming up that I'm glad to see the winter, because pretty soon it's going to be spring. Like this tree right here, I took the big top out of it, and these shoots from, you can barely see that black in there, to not my finger, that's brown anyway, from right there, that is trimmed at an angle kind of like that, but that's about where the top was. But I took, it was probably 12 feet above that, I took the big air layer out, and the storm came in and destroyed my tree. But this I'll be air layering again this year, and I've already planted another tree to grow in its place. And then over here I've got a small row going that way, probably 10 trees sitting there. And again, it's all about weed control, and we'll see how that goes. That big old palm tree came up on his own here, and I'm about ready to get rid of it, because it's about like this one, which is bulging and pushing over the fence, and it's a nuisance, especially when the seeds start falling off. But anyway, there's a lot to be done here. That big Naruto, big huge Naruto, and I've been taking cuttings off of it, and pretty successful. That was a big air layer, and I've had it going here now for like 5 years, I suppose. So I think I repotted it last year and secured it here, and then moved it to this position from another location, kind of to change it up. But I'll be carving on this year, and just really fertilizing the fire out of it with my fish water, and we'll see how that goes. That was a Trident maple root over rock, and that was the rock right there. The rock slipped when I dug this out of the ground, and I took those 2 pieces took these two pieces off of that, and I'll just use those as exposed root. And this I'll end up grafting on many pieces of rootstock to kind of fill in the bottom portion here. It'll be kind of an artistic endeavor, something different. But I call this my A-frame. And let's see if we can find something else to talk about. Hold on a second. Okay. This is one of my favorite places to grow my tridents. It's a small area. It's up front. There was a big pine tree here. You see the stump. You see the stump right there. But anyway, with all the pine leaf litter, you get the mycorrhizome that's really beneficial to the roots. That right there is close to 5-6 inches at the base, and you can probably see that one over there. I have an air layer on this one. It didn't take, it just started callousing over, so I went and reset it during the normal growing season. And so come what may, this spring when it's time to dig, that tree's coming, this is coming, and there are two others in here that have nice substantial trunks. I may have to cut them back even more. Again, the weeds just grew up in here. I mean, they grew like weeds. The weeds did, yeah. Well, that's what they do, don't they, huh? Well, but anyway, the weeds were just too substantial, and there's snakes around here, and we got an agreement. I don't bother them, and they don't bother me. So I kind of stay out of here when the weeds really get up. I've knocked the weeds down in here twice in the growing season, and it came right back up. So my plan is to put down weed barrier and work that so I can get in here and do my thing. And this way, some of these I could actually grow and work on during the season. Now, those are normal, typical, common trident maples, but these are the small leaf trident maples, okay? And that's 5 to 7 inches right there, and that's only been in the ground 3 seasons now, and then the trunk next to it also. This one was an air layer that I took off. Well, actually, no, this was a graft. I grafted a regular trident maple onto the upper part of the small leaf, and then I put that in the ground here. That was an air layer right there, and I actually left it in the pot trying to contain it. Experiment. That's what I do. You know, I've got trees around here that's 3 and 4 times larger than that. That was grown in a gallon pot. The pot was not broken away, but the roots did come out of the holes at the bottom, and it made some interesting material. But anyway, these are the small leaf trident maples. I've got some in the back. They've been in the ground even longer, and they're not as large as this. Maybe a third the size of this one, okay? But again, this had the pine tree here and all of the leaf mold and the mycorrhizome growing in it, and that's why I do really like using that mycorrhizome. I buy the stuff and I add it to the other areas so that I can get the benefit of the plants being assisted in growing faster. That tree right there is a graft. It has the regular Trident maples and the small leaf also. And right now I can see and tell which is which. You can kind of see it that it's like an X affair at the base of it. The trunk going over this direction is the small leaf, trunk coming up this way, and these leaves right here, this trunk here on this side is the regular. So I'll be basically cutting that out of there, and if I don't, I'll end up just grafting another piece of the small leaf, try it onto that, and make it work. But anyway, I've got these marked. See the tag right there, little yellow or orange tag. I've got it marked just to make sure that I don't lose track of them. I can tell with the leaves, but something like this, I don't want to lose sight of it. So anyway, that is a replacement tree for that air layer that I planted here, and the hurricane came and destroyed it. And that pot right there is just a air layered out Trident maple that I planted straight into the pot, and the weather has just been knocking it over, but it's safe, it's stable. Anyway, I took my seeds from this tree right here, and the ones that I spent my time, the seeds that is, that I spent my time cleaning and really taking care of, I pulled them straight from the tree. I didn't take them off of the ground. Now the seeds that I'll be using in bulk and just sowing into the ground or into large containers, I rake those up. The squirrels get in the tree and knock them down, and so I rake that up, and all of the leaves and the sticks and twigs or whatever that comes with it, not a problem. I put that into my soak bin, like the big old plastic bins, kind of like that. I loaded those up. I mean 4, 5, 6 containers, and I put the water in it and let them soak out here in the back or wherever. And I change the water as often as I can. Twice a day is best, but you know, at least once a day over 3 days. So you change the water out. And on my last rinse, what I do is I apply a broad